Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the video supplement for Trollvember Day 4, Blacksmith. So today we are creating a Blacksmith troll, or I suppose technically speaking, Whitesmith, or combination of both. The original idea going in was that this was the troll who makes all the golden jewelry, all the golden stuff, because it's all got to be forged somehow. Person in chat pointed out that in that case they would be a whitesmith, because whitesmiths are the ones who make all the jewelry and stuff, whereas blacksmiths work with more harder materials like iron. Thing is, I mainly want this to be a person who works with all metals, iron and gold. Trolls just don't get a lot of iron, period. I don't know, I'm not sure if there's like a term for that, or it's just blacksmith, or if it's whitesmith as well, and whitesmith counts as blacksmith as well. I don't know, it doesn't matter. Point is, I decided I would make this blacksmith a female troll this time, because I seem to have this boy girl thing going on, so I figured I may as well continue that for a while. So I gave her the feminine eyes. I already had an idea for what I wanted to do on her hat layer, so I put all of her hair on her head layer and decided, okay, well, we've had trolls with hoods, we've had trolls with Osgoo, let's just make another troll with dark hair that covers her ears. So she's just covering with hair. She's not wearing any kind of headgear other than this thing you're seeing now, which is a skull carved into a forging mask. I was originally depicting like a welder's mask. Apparently blacksmiths more often wear like just goggles rather than a full welder's mask, but I really like the idea of having a skull on there. As you can see, I also put some tusk on the hat layer as well, because I thought it would be interesting if her tusks were a little bit longer. And I put her skull mask on top of her head. The idea is that she rests it on top of her head a majority of the time and only pulls it down over her face when she needs to. And despite there only being 2 layers in the Minecraft skin, the idea is that there would be effectively 3 layers in quote-unquote person when she's doing this, where you have her face layer where her face and tusks are, and then you have her skull mask over top of that, and you have the 2 bits of tusk poking up on her hat layer on top of the skull mask, just kind of sliding in there. I then added some extensions to the skull mask on the sides with some straps leading to the back of her head to show that this is bent. Usually it's on like the front. It's just kind of sitting there. It's not being held strapped to her chin like a bicycle helmet. Also had a big lock knot thing in the back of her head just to show it being secured. I tried to give her some unique hairstyle and color. I get more into it later. This is just kind of very loose concept hair. Eventually it will be hair on the hat layer as well, just to add some more texture. It does kind of look pretty boxy as a result. And while I was actually doing this, I discovered, or a person in chat told me about something known as Nordic gold, which I believe is a alloy of gold, iron, and aluminum, I think, which makes a strong and rust-resistant alloy made of like primarily gold, I believe. Originally, I was thinking of giving this troll a iron hammer, like she had access to what little iron these trolls could get from trade and export. But when I learned about this Nordic gold, it made sense to give her a hammer made out of Nordic gold instead. Like it was like they were making the most out of all the iron they had available to them. Like they had to make if they had 1 pound of iron and could make 3 pounds of Nordic gold with it, then that's like 3 times the amount of iron that they could use. As you can see on her face, I'm also adding like scorch marks or heat marks, soot marks, whatever, anywhere where the mask is exposed to her face. So like on her cheeks and between her eyes. She's also getting a black apron. I'm not entirely sure what material it is. I would imagine it's It's good leather, just dyed black or potentially burnt black from the heat of the forge. And yeah, a lot of discussion in chat was about like troll trade. I always thought of them as an isolationist species. They just live alone in the middle of the desert on top of a giant gold vein. So for majority of their time, they were alone. Eventually, goblins encountered them and started trading with them for the gold. So they have some access to metals such as iron and aluminum, just not a lot. It is primarily gold. So I also briefly considered making the mask covering her face out of gold. I did a brief poll on bluesky on whether it should be gold or bone without context, and everyone just said bone, so I went with the bone idea. Here I'm trying to give her a shirt. I wanted to give her something a little unique. Not quite the standard caveman rags, so I had this one troll in a tube top shirt. So I decided to take that and modify it a little bit so that it's a similar shape but held up by straps around her shoulders, as you can see with the now cloth straps. And I also thought, okay, let's hang some hair over her back as well, because she obviously has long hair. It hangs all the way down the side of her head, so let's have some going onto her back as well. It doesn't show up too well with the straps of the apron going all around her back, but you know it's there. You know it's there. The apron can be removed in the game settings, and she still looks good without it. I also decided to give her some good leather pants, which means these are officially the second garment made entirely out of good leather after Brawler Troll's vest. Maybe they're part of the same set. Maybe Brawler Troll took that vest from the blacksmith. I don't know. Whatever the case is, I ultimately decided to make one leg of the pants shorter than the other, mainly to differentiate them, because these are, for the first time, actual pants. They're not a skirt. They're not a loincloth. They are pants, the same part, two different legs of the same part. And I was worried that if I didn't make one shorter than the other, then you might think that it's more of a skirt or a dress thing, which is not what I was going for. I wanted to give her pants made out of strong, good leather, because if she's going to be working with metal, then that's going to be a lot of slag, a lot of sparks, a lot of heat that is potentially flying all over the place and being affected by gravity and going down onto her legs. You know, you want to protect yourself from that. Now, is it perfect protection? No, but for trolls, a little bodily harm isn't too bad, because you can just cut off the cauterization and it all just grows back in a couple days. Also giving her shoes for additional protection. Didn't want to make them good leather shoes like I normally would, so they're just hide shoes. I didn't want them to match too much with the pants. And yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now, so I just go back to coloring the apron. That takes a little while longer. There's a big discussion about like troll trade and blacksmithing and culture going on in the chat. Here we go. We are giving her the Nordic gold hammer here hanging from her thigh over a strap. It wasn't intended, but I actually found that this strap also really helps differentiate the pant legs from one another, because she only has it over one leg. And because of that, you can really tell that these are separate pants, separate legs of the same pair of pants, and not a skirt or a dress or something like that. And that hammer there, you can see, is made of a different material than the standard gold palette that I usually use. It is, again, Nordic gold, something stronger, something tougher than regular gold, which is infamously pretty soft. And it's apparently it's just a paler gold color. I couldn't find a good color palette for it, so I just went with the best example I could find. And yeah, I figured she made that alloy, and now she uses that hammer to make more tools and items and jewelry and stuff out of gold. And I really like this idea of Nordic gold. I'm probably going to be utilizing it in a lot more future ideas, because originally I was just thinking all their tools are made out of either pure gold or bone, but you can't really do too much with golden tools. Golden tools are gonna go bad. They're gonna break really easily. As you can see in Minecraft, where a golden pickaxe is only good for like, what, 11 swings? Something like that? 11 blocks to break before it just snaps in half? Nordic gold could potentially solve that problem. How they got to the level of being able to alloy it, I don't know. I imagine it took many different generations of seers, which are very smart trolls that take many generations for even one to be born. I stole the idea from the Hook Bajar from Animorphs. And yeah. I'm also roughing up her skin a bit more with scorch marks from exposed areas in her apron. I'm not sure where they're going with this right now. Okay, here we go. We're giving her gloves now. I decided, okay, yeah, I looked it up and saw some blacksmiths in both fiction and reality use gloves, some don't. I decided, let's give her some gloves. Let's give her some black leather gloves just to keep her hands protected. And I wanted to add a second Nordic gold tool tucked in to her glove. And eventually I realized, yeah, that would be easier to do if the glove was on the second layer. And then the tool, which is just a straight rod. Basically, I don't know what specifically it is. Some kind of measuring stick, maybe some kind of just security symbol, secure holding thing. I don't know. It's some generic tool just being held in place by the glove, and around where the gloves end, I put more scorch marks of heat and ash. It is too big currently. I do fix that in the future. Also add some ties to the end of the apron just to make it look more like straps being tied up in a knot. And luckily, she looks pretty good at the end of it. I do need to add some hair to the front and back of her head, and I really wanted to thin out those scorch marks around her arms just because they looked way too thick, way too big, so I thinned them out, messed them up a bit more, made them a little less uniform. I changed the straps holding her skull mask in place to cloth instead of good leather, just because the good leather blended in too much with her hair. So with it being cloth, then it would stand out more and would be more noticeable. And I also gave her, as you can see, more hair around her head, both in front and in back. And just like that, we have her, the blacksmith troll, the one who makes the tools, the one who makes the jewelry, the one who works all the metal of Troll Place and does what needs to be done. Now, I really enjoyed this one. I really love how this one turned out. By the time you are watching this, we are likely live on Twitch right now with Trollvember Day 5, which is cook, I believe. So we'll probably be making some kind of a chef. In the meantime, I'm going to have to say thank you ever so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like if you liked it. Don't if you didn't. My name is TamTroll. This has been Trollvember Day 4, and I will see you next time. Farewell!